CEO of Gulf State Analytics. Thanks for your time. Just talk us through how this deal is going to impact Sudan, considering it has a transitional government. Omar al-Bashir is out, but it's also a country that is facing a dire economic situation at the moment.
Yes, last year, Sudan had a revolution which brought a 30-year dictatorship to an end. At this point, the country is undergoing a very fragile and delicate transition to democracy, huge financial problems in Sudan. There's also a huge problem with COVID-19 in the country, many other issues, and there's a lot of reason to be concerned about how this diplomatic deal, this peace deal with Israel, could possibly fuel some unrest in Sudan, to deepen some of the divisions between different groups and different individuals in Sudan at a time in which, as I said, the country is going through a very delicate transition. Certainly some concerns about blowback possibly undermining this transition in the weeks and the months ahead.
Yeah, we have a correspondent in Sudan, and he says they are expecting protests this weekend. But Giorgio, at the moment, Donald Trump has said he's brokered this deal. Trump is, of course, an ally to Benjamin Netanyahu. Both leaders, Netanyahu at the moment, facing a lot of scrutiny at home. There have been anti-government protests over his corruption charges, as well as continued protests against the handling of COVID-19. How does this deal now all play into their leadership and how their bases view them?
Well, this is very good news for both Trump and Netanyahu. For Netanyahu, he's able to send a message to Israelis that with him at the helm, the Jewish state has been able to begin really integrating into the wider Islamic world's diplomatic fold without having to make any concessions to the Palestinians. For Trump, he obviously has this election next month, and the deals between three Arab states since August 13th, UAE, Bahrain, and now Sudan. The announcements of these countries' plans to formalize diplomatic relations with Israel is what Trump is pointing to when he's talking about his ability to bring quote-unquote peace to the Middle East and his ability to get things done. He's going to, of course, say, you know, Joe Biden was the vice president for 8 years, and Arab-Israeli normalization did not happen during those 8 years. And Trump is really saying that these deals underscore how successful he is on the international stage. How much the American voters are going to make up their minds next month based on the state of Sudanese-Israeli relations, I don't know. I imagine it's pretty small. But when it comes to evangelical voters, though, Israel-related issues are always important. And when it comes to the swing states, the battleground states, some of them have large evangelical populations. So at the risk of sounding very cynical, we need to point out that Trump is very, very much motivated by his domestic political interests right now.
Giorgio, the UAE, which of course has normalized their relations with Israel, says this is an important step to boost security and prosperity in the region. Do you believe that's the case?
Well, it's going to definitely help Sudan with its financial problems. You know, as long as Sudan is on the state sponsors of terrorism list, it was not going to have the ability to benefit from U.S. support, World Bank, IMF. So I have no doubt that as a consequence of this decision, there will be some rewards that come for Sudan. But to answer your question about regional peace and prosperity, you know, the most important group of Arabs whom Israel needs to work on making peace with are the Palestinians. And until the Israelis and the Palestinians can end their conflict through a just settlement that's consistent with international law, I don't think that we can expect real peace in this part of the world. I think that these agreements, which we've seen from UAE, Bahrain, and Sudan, these agreements signal these countries' governments burying the Palestinian issue, rather than resolving the Palestinian issue. And I think it's important for Arab countries to obviously try to resolve the issue instead of just liquidate it.
Giorgio, Cafiero, always great to get your analysis. Thank you so much for that.